Well, good afternoon. Before I start, I want to take a minute to remember and honor the victims on the second anniversary of the Toronto van attack. In the face of this horrible tragedy, we came together to support one another as a community and as Canadians, standing strong and united in the face of a cowardly act of violence. And as I look back on that dark day and the unprecedented times we face now, the recent tragedy of Nova Scotia, I can't help but think that same strength, that same spirit will guide us through these difficult times. My friends, the days may be dark, but I can assure you, we're doing everything in our power to defeat this deadly virus. We're taking nothing for granted because we're facing an enemy that doesn't sleep, doesn't rest, doesn't take a break, so we can't either. Last Thursday, we delivered an action plan to protect our most vulnerable seniors in long-term care homes. Within 48 hours of launching that plan, we conducted thousands of tests, we delivered thousands of pieces of PPE, and put expert boots on the ground from our hospitals and healthcare partners. And I'm glad to hear that the federal government has approved our request for military personnel. We have literally called in the troops, and the cavalry is on its way. We're in the process of working with the federal government as we speak. We're carefully assessing resources they make available to us, and we will deploy those resources to where they're needed most. My friends, we're fighting this virus on all fronts. Nothing is off the table. That's why I asked Minister Smith and his team to develop a full strategy to protect all of our most vulnerable Ontarians. And today, I'm pleased to deliver our COVID action plan for vulnerable people. This plan builds on the actions we've already taken to protect staff and residents in group homes, in homeless shelters, in women's, children, and youth shelters, and those serving vulnerable Indigenous people. We restricted non-essential visitors. We provided emergency childcare to staff. We've delivered $148 million in direct funding through the Social Services Relief Fund to help these organizations hire staff, purchase PPE, and build isolation capacity. We provided $40 million in targeted funding through the COVID Residential Relief Fund. These funds were put in place starting in March to help homeless shelters, group homes, and other municipal services respond and prepare for COVID-19. And we are further protecting these vulnerable populations by ramping up screening and implementing mandatory testing at any outbreak site, including testing all transfers and new residents. We're deploying personal protective equipment to all staff in all congregate settings. We're conducting risk assessments, starting with our homeless shelters and group homes. We will limit staff to only work in one resident during this outbreak and provide extra training for staff so they know what to do in the event of an outbreak. My friends, we're all in on this fight, and that means getting resources and support to where they're needed. It means giving a helping hand, and I want to take a moment to thank our frontline heroes. Thank you to all the dedicated and hardworking staff who are working and helping those in need in our shelters and group homes across the province. Together we are stronger, and together we will conquer this virus. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll hand it over to Minister Smith.